What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of tickers out there, and break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for as time progresses, and what's happening with all this news affecting the markets and Tesla, as I give you guys my price predictions for tomorrow and beyond for many different stocks. But before I do anything like this, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon in just about 8 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, guys, so looking at the market, we have some very interesting things going on. If we look at SPY, we had another rising wedge that was developing, and the thing about it is it's still developing as I speak. So like right here, you could see it is still technically valid in the after hours. We are seeing the market slow down just a little bit, but it still is technically very close to these support levels, still holding up very nicely. And we can even like readjust a little bit every now and then when things like this happen. But for now, it's holding up. And the question is, could we try to like break right back into it? Or is the market going to end up seeing a rug pull going into tomorrow? And this is going to depend on heavily on how the market ends up opening and how the market ends up being impacted by this. Which way does the market end up breaking? So I'm going to break down more details about this in just a couple of minutes, but let's first talk about the news affecting the market very, very quickly. So first off, let's just talk about tomorrow. We have some Fed speakers in the morning before the market opens. We have Harker embarking from the Fed. We have some exports and imports data 1 hour before the market opens. And then 30 minutes after the market opens at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, we have the economic optimism report coming out. We want this to be pretty decent, and this could have a big effect on the market. So make sure that you are ready for that. So 30 minutes after market open, expect some volatility. As far as earnings goes, we have Lucid, Palantir, Chegg, and just a couple of others coming out. And then for Tuesday, we have AMC, Rivian, UPS, and just a couple of others. Not to mention Disney, Roblox, and Sony all coming out for Wednesday before Thursday as we have Alibaba. So big earnings are coming out, not as big as last week and before that, but Disney is going to be a big one for the week. It's going to be very interesting to watch, and Sony as well, alongside Alibaba for the Chinese tickers. So that's basically it for earnings. As far as Tesla goes, there's news that came out that the Tesla Cybertruck was spotted next to a Rivian R1T. And then for the size comparison, this is not really a good picture though, because they're completely they're very different. It's a very, very bad angle to see them side by side, but the Cybertruck is longer. Technically, it does not look longer in that picture. And overall, I think that the bet is a little bit longer for the Rivian. And it would be very interesting to compare them in terms of power and performance. But for now, this isn't the best of pictures. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because this is making so many headlines. And as far as they go, I mean, seeing more exposure for the Cybertruck is good news for Tesla. This is continuing to become more popular. And I can't wait for what the future holds once we start to see it increase its production line capabilities. Now, Tesla's CFO, Zach, ended up stepping down. I talked about this in the morning, so I'm not going to go into too many details about this, but this is the reason why Tesla got a big rug pull in the morning. This came out a couple of minutes before the market opened, and Tesla came down very hard off this news before getting a rebound and trying to bounce with the markets. Now, as far as Elon Musk goes, there's some news that came out right here that Elon Musk said that he may require surgery ahead of the Mark Zuckerberg, match. In my opinion, he mentioned it's not that horrible. It just has to do with a sumo wrestling injury he ended up getting, or he claims he got it near his back. So around his back and his neck, he may need it. There's even a picture like right here of what he looked like. And if anything, Elon Musk does look like a wizard in this picture. So very funny to witness. Anyways, going back on CNBC, this is also making the headlines right here. Elon Musk said that he may need surgery very soon before he could actually face Mark Zuckerberg. So Elon Musk, he may have to go through this. I'm not sure if this is going to make more headlines tomorrow. If it does, this could be a negative thing for Tesla stock, but not a guarantee, because I don't know if this is completely required just yet. I don't know if that this is like confirmed, because he said he may require it. He didn't say it's guaranteed. And he said he's planning on receiving an MRI very, very soon on his neck and upper back. So we'll see how this goes. I really hope the best for him. I want him to have very good health, if anything, nonetheless. And, let's just hope that he stays very well. Now, as far as the listings go, the Model X is still relatively high, whereas everything else is like dropping. So the other models for Tesla are doing well in terms of their like demand, but the Model X demand is slowing down just a little bit as of right now. We'll see if this changes. And then to add on to this, we have volume at 110 million for Tesla, so very close to average. And we saw a lot of selling in the morning before Tesla tried to rebound. And then on top of this, the price price ratio for Tesla is still holding up, not too bad. In terms of seasonality, don't forget to watch the third and fifth hours of the day now. This is like adjusted a bit. Those are going to be more important hours during the trading day. And then don't forget that on Tuesdays, we're green about 51% of the time. So it's almost 50-50. August tends to be a decent month. We tend to be a little slower between like July and September before getting a much stronger end of the year. That's what tends to happen to Tesla historically. And finally, the short interest is starting to go up just a little bit. We saw more shorting on Tesla. About 30 million Tesla shares were shorted very recently. And that's worth noting because it can affect Tesla to this day. But now let's talk about the biggest things affecting Tesla. What is that going to be? And that has to do more with like the overall market and the current price action we're seeing. So looking at SPY, you can see right here is trying to like rebound off this support zone right here. We have this like rising wedge that is developing. If SPY breaks above, this resistance and starts breaking up, it's going to be testing this other resistance trend line very close to this like high 451 zone. If it breaks that, we could see 452 plus, and it could invalidate this whole thing because there is a chance SPY is going to try to fill these imbalances in the price action right over here. There's a chance that SPY might try to push up to these levels from before to try to retest this high in the very high 452s if the market keeps pushing up to invalidate this rising wedge. That's the more bullish case. The bears, however, the bears are going to argue that no, it's a rising wedge. It needs to drop down. So if we get a clean break below this, we haven't had a break yet. If the break comes, the market could sink tomorrow morning. There's a possibility of that. Okay, so you have to be prepared for anything just to be safe. If the whole market ends up getting a rug pull because of this could affect Tesla. If it bounces and continues to hold up, Tesla could hold up as well. Now, Tesla has its own technicals I will discuss in just a couple of minutes. I just wanted to note that about SPY. But as far as Tesla goes, it dropped very hard, became quite oversold if you want to use that term, and it dropped too hard for it to maintain low levels like that. It also formed a bullish divergence before trying to get this bounce. So you could see Tesla was very, very oversold. It dropped way too hard, and now it's trying to rebound a little bit. It has this imbalance all the way up here on this 255 area, and I think that there's a very good chance Tesla's going to try to go up to 255 for tomorrow. If it gets above 252.5 and holds above the 50 EMA, I'm expecting 255 to 256 for Tesla and some choppy price action up there. And then I do think Tesla could see a green day if that ends up being the case. If Tesla ends up breaking down and ends up breaking below 250, which is our support, I'm expecting it to come all the way down, most likely very close to like 247 or lower. That's also another possibility. So that's the more bullish and bearish case. What is more probable? Well, once I show you guys the QQQ, it looks like tech could try to bounce tomorrow, but we have to see which way we see the market break. Once again, don't forget about this rising wedge on SPY. This is also very similar to what's going on with Aapl and the QQQ. If the bullish cases play out and the market continues to hold up, there's an increased probability of tech getting a rebound and seeing a lot of these tech stocks try to hold up at least temporarily until CPI comes out, and then we will see after that. So that if that ends up playing out, we could see Tesla try to push up for 255, and that seems a little bit more likely to me. So I think Tesla might try to make its way up there, at least based off TA for now, as Tesla wants to fill these imbalances. But we have to watch for confirmation tomorrow just to be safe. So I do believe it's very likely Tesla will get to 255 to 256. It's very probable, but we have to watch for confirmation first. TA suggests it's most likely going to happen, but we have to be patient first before making any claims like that. For SPY, if we end up breaking above, once again, the rising wedge, we could see this thing continue to pop and push up very, very nicely. So far, the 30 minutes time frame has been quite strong, so we'll see what happens. If not, if we end up getting a break to the downside, it could come all the way back down to like 448 or lower. So we're just going to have to wait and see tomorrow which way we break. The odds do favor the market trying to hold up for now. Just like SPY or SPX, the IWM also has a similar setup. If we're bullish, we're going to be watching 195. If we're bearish, we're going to be watching 192. Both are possible, but this is actually holding up quite decently. So we'll see if this manages to hold. I do think it looks like it wants to retest 195, but just to be safe, we have to wait. AMC has earnings for tomorrow, so we might see AMC pop a little bit. Just watch 5.28, 5.4, and 5.5. For NEO, just to quickly go over this, it's looking a little weak compared to the market. Can be watching for a retest of about this 15 area. It might reject and come down to 14.65, then bounce, and just continue to hold up, at least for now, in range trade. but I do believe that it's due for a slight pullback. That would be completely normal as it has a head and shoulders like pattern. So just be well aware of that. If it ends up breaking below the previous low it made, we could see some more downside. There's a risk of that for NEO. As far as Apple goes, it's down 1.73% for the day, but it's trying to get a bounce. It looks like it wants to bounce. It is also forming like a rising wedge as well. So like right here, you could see it more clearly. The bulls want to see it break above 179.38. If that happens, 180 plus is a possibility. The bears want to see it break below 178. If that breaks, 177.36 and 176 become possibilities. What looks more likely? In my opinion, looks like it wants to get closer to 180. I think Apple's been dropping very hard and wants to start filling a part of this imbalance. But just to be safe, let's see if it can break above the 20 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame, just to be safe. On the QQQ, you're going to be watching our resistance levels very carefully. So for the QQQ, it looks like an accumulation structure has developed with a bullish divergence, but there's no promises that it's going to play out this way, as it will depend on the news. I think it looks like it wants to retest 377 at least. Technicals could flip very quickly in this market. One day they're looking weak, the next day things could flip. It's very, very crazy. And it looks a little bit more bullish now. It looks like it wants to get to 377 since it managed to close above 375. But if we're bearish, you're going to be watching for a break below 374 to take this thing down. In my opinion, it looks like 377 is a little bit more likely. That can help tech pump a little bit more. That's going to help stocks like Tesla. Now, for Nvidia, this has been range bound for quite a while. Now, it could remain range bound between 456 and then all the way down here, it's like 444. But as it managed to close this well, there's a good chance it's going to try to break above 456, in my opinion, for tomorrow. We could see 460 plus to even 465. It's a possibility. We're going to be watching this imbalance up here around like 458 to 460. There's a good chance it's going to try to push up all the way there if it continues going. And for now, it's forming a bullish structure. This is starting to look like a bullish wedge. So if you zoom out like right here, you could kind of see it. In my opinion, it looks a little bit more bullish than bearish. It looks like it's going to try to get to 460 plus, but just to be safe, you have to watch it break out of this range it's been stuck in. We want to see Nvidia get above 456 for now. Once it breaks that, there's going to be more probabilities for upside. All right, so that's what I'm seeing as being a lot more probable. Always be open-minded just in case and watch this range. Don't forget we have support at around 450. If that fails us, we have another support around this 444 area. And then below that, we have 440 and like 436. I don't think it's going to drop unless we get a bad piece of news. I think the odds once again favor it, either staying in this range or breaking out, or at least making an attempt to break out to get to 460 plus or even 465. And I think the odds favor that because of this imbalance. I think I'm leaning more bullish on Nvidia for tomorrow, but just to be safe, watch for that confirmation of a breakout. Finally, for AMD, the bulls want to see it get to 119. The bears want to see it get below 114. What looks more probable? I think it looks like it's going to try to retest 119. It's trying to uptrend now. And we have a nice accumulation structure right over here that developed, and it's forming a nice bullish looking wedge. So there's a good chance we could see it break above 119 to push to 120 plus. For the NASDAQ in particular, you're going to be watching 14,000. If it breaks above 14,000, this high rate here could be retested as gap resistance. If it breaks that, this gap could get filled. If it fails to do so, you're going to be watching for rejection and a retest of this low right here and even more downside. So it looks more bullish to me from a technical standpoint. It looks like it's going to try to get a retest of the 200 EMA. But to turn really bullish, we have to break this resistance and try filling this gap. If we fail to do so, then it is what it is. I am leaning more in the direction of a test of 14,000 first before anything, but we will have to wait and see if it could break or not. If it does, that's going to be great. But for the dollar index, it looks like there's a possible head and shoulders forming on it. And one issue is it's barely holding 102. If 102 breaks on the dollar, starts like dropping lower, that's going to be a bullish signal for the markets. It's currently at 102.08. It has been like kind of trailing a little bit today. We'll have to see if this breaks support. If that breaks, that's going to be a bullish signal. So watch for that just in case. If it bounces, that could drag the market down. It's looking a little bit weaker right now. So the odds do favor it helping the markets pump. But just to be safe, watch for confirmation. For Coinbase, we got a nice bounce on it. There's a good chance it's going to try to retest 86.95 and break that to try to get closer to where this big change in volatility was around 90. If it can manage to break above the 50, it's going to be our test for tomorrow. 90 becomes a possibility, or at least like 80, 88.5 or so. If it breaks down, you're going to be watching 84 then 82. I think the odds favor trying to hold up for the time being, and we could see a possible reversal right here after this really, really nice looking candle. So I do think we could see it approach this imbalance, get closer to like 90. For Google, we're going to be watching this thing continue to break out, got a nice breakout, a nice accumulation structure. And instead of trading sideways, like I actually thought yesterday it wouldn't be this strong, but we had some bullish news that came out that changed it. You're going to be watching this uh, important shop zone, which is going to be acting as its resistance, this 132 area. If it breaks above that, we have the potential to go up to 134 and then start entering this shop zone, which would be a more bullish for it for now. For Amazon, you're going to be watching support at 140, and then we have like 138, resistance around 142, and then 143.6. So it looks to me like uh, it's still holding up very nicely, but we have to see if it can break 143.63. If that breaks, 145 is a possibility. Now, it's looking very sideways, like it's range bound for now. We need to break this high for confirmation, and for now, we're still waiting for that to happen. Last but not least, for Meta, if we're bullish, we want to see this thing break above 316. If that breaks, 318 is a real possibility. Then we also have this 320 area, which is where we have an imbalance as well. Now, if it breaks down, well, it's kind of like range bound right now between like 316 to like 310, going back and forth for the last 3.5 days. So I would say that, if we continue to get that break, I'm going to be watching 320. It looks like it wants to do this. It looks like we have a nice like double bottom here, forming kind of like a W that's like, a very, very stationary W. I think the odds favor upside. I think it's going to try to go for 320, but just to be safe, we have to see it hold above 316.5. And it needs to hold that for tomorrow. If it does so, this could be an accumulation structure, and we could see a push up after this double bottom like formation to about 320. That seems a little bit more likely. But just to be safe, okay, wait and see if it could break out first. All right, guys. So, anyways, that's what I have for this video. I hope this was as clear as possible. As far as Tesla goes, I'm open to anything as always, but I'm leaning more bullish because we have this imbalance. It looks like Tesla wants to pump more. But always remember one last thing: Tesla has a lot of news in the morning before the market opens, sometimes during open. Be on the lookout for news just in case, because that's unpredictable. But from a technical standpoint, it looks like Tesla wants to see a test of 255 at least, then enter this like very sideways zone, this range bound zone between like 255 to 257 or so. So I think it's very possible Tesla's going to try to retest the 200 EMA. I think it's very probable there's upside potential for it, and we'll just have to watch and see how it breaks. And don't forget to also watch SPY simultaneously. All right, so thank you for listening. Have a great day, everyone. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Tesla to the moon as the long term is still very bright. And peace out.